Hey, Luke here with catsandcarp.com, and I'm going to tell you about one of the most popular carp baits in the world, boilies. Professional carp anglers, serious carp anglers, often their number one choice of bait is boilies. A boilie is essentially a dough bait that's been cooked. You take flour, eggs, liquid attractants, various foods and minerals and additives, add it into the dough, knead it up into a ball, and then you either boil it or cook it in the microwave. If you boil it, it'll become a sinking bait. If you cook it in the microwave, it'll become a pop-up or a floating boilie. These are the two essential types of boilies, pop-ups and bottom baits. The thing that makes boilies so wildly popular is that the carp go ape crazy for them. Once they try boilies and get used to seeing those little round balls as food, they go nuts for them. And you can literally turn a swarm of carp into just a feeding frenzy, piranha-like animal. It's fabulous. Some of the most insane carp fishing I've ever had is on boilies. When you get them turned on, they are on, and it's a good time. The other thing about it is you can buy boilies that will last forever. You can throw them in your bag, and they don't go bad. They don't go moldy. They don't go rancid. They don't make your car reek. It's very nice. It's very convenient. You know, I'm not constantly having to cook up new baits and prepare stuff. It's just you buy a bag of it, you tear it open, you start fishing. Very convenient. Additionally, boilies solve problems with nuisance fish. So bluegills and perch and trout, or some of the other little fish that you don't want nibbling on your hook. They can't get boilies in their mouth. You can buy boilies in a variety of sizes, from like 10 millimeters up to 20 plus millimeters. You can even buy a huge pellets that are like 30, 40 millimeters. So you can simply just buy a bigger boilie, and only the carp and the catfish will be able to get it in its mouth. And so really with boilies, the only nuisance fish you have to worry about is catfish. And in my book, that's not a nuisance fish, so I'm just happy to take them all. Yesterday morning, and fished for just 1 hour, and I tore up a brand new bag of plum flavored boilies by Dynamite Baits, the Carp Tech brand, and threw out just 2 handfuls, put on a single boilie onto one rod, and got 3 hits in 45 minutes. They just went nuts for them. The catfish loved it, the carp loved it. Really good. So today I have a couple more hours, and I'm going to go catch some fish with these plum boilies. I may not get through this whole thing. I landed a few fish. These plum boilies have been really effective. Well, anyway, I traditionally like to fish bottom boilies with a simple inline hair rig. Got an inline lead that's camouflaged, got a rubber stopper in between the swivel and the lead, about 10 inches of leader, 8 inches of leader, and then a hair rig. Very simple. I often use a number 4 hook, number 6 hook, and a blowback rig is the variety of hair rig that I tend to use the most, and that'll get it done for 90% of my situations. However, don't limit yourself. There's a lot of other types of rigs you can use. When you're using pop-up rigs, the advantage is it gets the bait out of the muck and the weeds. So for instance, if you have a lake with very mucky bottoms, very soft silty bottoms where your lead just sinks right into the mud, and there's maybe even a couple inches of vegetation, kind of slimy weeds on the bottom, you can take a pop-up bait, and you basically have the same inline lead system I just described, but you put a little glob of tungsten putty or a lead split shot in between the main lead and the hook. You give it about 3 inches, 2 inches above the eyelid of the hook. You put this little lead, and then you put a pop-up bait, and the pop-up bait floats. So what you're doing is you're having your bait float 2-3 inches off the bottom. And so while your lead is stuck down in the muck and the weeds and the goo down the bottom of the lake, your bait is hovering right above it, okay? And so when a carp comes along and is grubbing through the mud trying to find your chum, and sees this beautiful bait just sitting right on the top. Nails it. The guys that go after trophy carp, they're catching these 50-pound carp, 40-pound carp. Almost all of them are using boilies, and a lot of them are using pop-up rigs. Part of that is because the pop-up rigs have a little bit more scent in them. They're designed to be hook baits, not chum. You don't chum with pop-up baits. Vast majority of situations. You chum with the sinking boilies, and then you get a pop-up bait that matches the flavor, and you put that on, and you fish it over the bottom bait. So, but the pop-up bait has a lot more scent to it, and they're designed to be extra attractive. Often they come in ultra bright colors, and there's a lot of different things you can do with them, and this draws fish in. One of the things you can do with your boilies to really enhance their flavor is to soak them. What you do is you take and put your boilies, take them out of the bag, put them in a mesh bag, or put them out, spread them out in the open air, and let them air dry for a day or two. They'll start to get a little cracked on the surface, and you can noticeably touch them and they just feel parched and dry. Once they're dry like that, you throw them into a Ziploc bag and spray your favorite liquid in there. Just dump a bunch of liquid attractant in there, seal up the bag, shake it up, let it sit, and those boilies will start to soak up, rehydrate, but instead of rehydrating water, which they've lost, they're sucking up liquid carp attractant. And so it makes them more pungent. When you drop them in the water, they give off a little cloud of scent, and it's really just a way of putting your baits on steroids and just really pumping them up. Another trick you can do with boilies is if you're trying to get a quick bite, you're trying to attract a fish quickly with a small amount of boilies, especially in that situation, cut up your boilies, chop them up. This releases more flavor into the water quicker. So you can use things like the quarter crusher or to grind up boilies, or the quarter cutter to cut them in half, or you can just simply use a pair of scissors or a hammer or a bait knife and chop them up yourself. A lot of people complain because boilies, most of us don't make our own boilies, we buy them, and they cost money. And so when people complain about the cost, they're definitely more expensive than do-it-yourself baits like feed corn and oatmeal. And so people are always looking for a way to make your baits go further. You don't go through boilies because of using them as hook baits. You go through boilies because you're chumming with them. If you're not chumming that much with boilies, your 1 kilogram bag will last you a couple years. I mean, it takes a long time to go through a 1 kilogram bag if you're not chumming. So if you can be a little bit more sparse in your chumming, you can make a 1 kilogram bag of boilies go a very long way. One of the ways to do this is to use boilies as an additive in a cheaper chum. So often what I'll do is I'll take a particle bait, like pigeon feed or feed corn. I'll get the quarter crusher out, I'll grind up a bunch of boilies and dump them in, and then add a few whole ones or cut ones in there too. And then when I'm chumming, the carp are attracted to the corn, and while they're eating the corn, they're also picking up boilies, and then I chuck out a hook bait with just a boilie on it. That works very effectively and doesn't take hardly any boilies to do it. So you can make a 1 kilogram bag of boilies go a very long ways doing that. When fishing with boilies, there's a lot of different ways to chum them out there. Of course, if you're fishing in the margins like I am today, you can just throw them out by hand really easy, get some good distance on them. But I also can use a slingshot. You can buy a $5 wrist rocket from Walmart, and you can get those boilies out 80 yards, 70 yards, no problem. Or you can buy a specially designed Boilie Catapult from one of the carp angling stores, and you can shoot them out multiple boilies at the same time and get a lot more bait out a lot quicker. A little bit more convenient. Also, the wrist rockets tend to break a lot if I use them too much for carping. They're not very durable. So another way to chum boilies is to use a spot or a spom or a Boilie Stick. It's a throwing stick designed for chucking boilies. If any of you guys remember that sport, I think it's highlight, where you got the highlight sticks and you're throwing a ball, same sort of principle, but you can get fabulous distance, 100 yards or more if you know what you're doing with the Boilie Stick. However, the problem with Boilie sticks is they are not as easy as they look. It's very easy. You will waste a lot of boilies before you get it down. out and packed. And I find that I'm much more accurate with the slingshot than I am with the Boilie Stick. So if you're trying to get a nice tight group of boilies out at distance, use a slingshot anytime you can. If you're just trying to get pure distance, then a Boilie Stick is good, but you're going to be spreading the boilies out a lot unless you have a lot of practice with that stick. So good tool, takes some learning. Another way to chum with boilies is to use PVA systems. You can use PVA funnel mesh systems, or you can use a PVA stringer, where basically you string the boilies like a pearl necklace onto a piece of PVA string, and then you tie that string onto your hook or lead. You chuck it out there, the PVA dissolves, and there's a nice little row of boilies right up next to your hook bait. So all great methods for chumming boilies, work really good. Well, hopefully this information about boilies will help you out and teach you something new and help you put a few fish on the bank. But boilies are a fabulous bait. I was very hesitant to try them out because of the cost when I first got into carp fishing. And plus I was so happy with feed corn and my do-it-yourself baits, I just didn't see any point in trying them out. But eventually I saw, everyone's doing it. I'm gonna, got to figure out what all the hype's all about. And I figured I'd go give it a try. And man, after that first experience, I was hooked. And those carp went ape crazy over it. It was insane. I'd never had carp fishing like that. After that, I realized, there's a reason why these boilies are popular. So give it a try. Experiment. Not every flavor will work in every spot. Mix it up. But once you get them dialed in, man, it is fabulous fishing. At any rate, thanks for watching and good luck out there. Check out these other two great videos from catsandcarp.com, including how to make a great, cheap, and effective particle bait and how to make an awesome stick mix using breadcrumb and corn. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe.